Sagicor Bank, supporting businesses with guidance and services to create the recipe for success. The time by Sagicor Bank is
7 p.m.
CVM News at 7, headlines Thursday, brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
Coming up in CVM News at 7, humanitarian calamity. Opposition leader calls for relocation of Kooper's Pen residents. Injury to minor brings state care under scrutiny. New Alexandria market taking shape. And in sports, Island Challenge makes Jamaica debut.
News at 7, headlines Thursday, brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7 for Thursday, August 13, 2026. I'm Nika Lewis. Thank you for joining us. PNP President Mark Golding is calling for the permanent relocation of Kooper's Pen residents, describing the situation as a humanitarian calamity. Carla Ramdeen has our first report.
Opposition leader and PNP President Mark Golding is calling on the government to urgently accelerate efforts to permanently relocate the affected residents, following his recent visit to Kooper's Pen community in Trelawny. Golding says while the government's provision of tents and other forms of assistance is a start, the permanent relocation of residents is critical at this time.
The matter of lands falls directly under the portfolio of the Prime Minister as Minister of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development. All of the land agencies of government fall under him. So he is in a position to expedite a solution to this crisis. And I'm calling on him to do so. Identify an appropriate location and make the necessary investments so that the people can be restored.
Golding explains that the last PNP administration attempted to establish a community for Kooper's Pen residents under the Housing Act. However, the designation was contested by the landowners and the matter went to the Court of Appeal. The case was eventually concluded, but the community was left without any form of legal protection. According to Golding, there is a policy issue that needs to be addressed with a framework that balances citizens' rights and protects private property, while also safeguarding vulnerable people who the state has a responsibility to protect.
Where you're going to be demolishing homes of people where there are vulnerable children, elderly, women, etc. It cannot just be that the law takes its course in a totally unregulated way without taking into account and balancing the needs, the rights, the Constitution and otherwise, of the citizens who are impacted.
In the meantime, PNP Constituency Chairman for Northern Trelawny, Meadows, is echoing similar sentiments to those of Opposition Leader Mark Golding, noting that temporary housing is not a viable solution.
This matter deserves national attention, it needs governmental attention. And what we see here, as the leader said, is calamitous. You give tents, you break down somebody's permanent castle, and then you rush and come bring temporary tents, and you place those tents on the very ground with the debris. If you're going to some of them, it is hot like a oven. The people of Kooper deserve justice, and they deserve better than this.
Meanwhile, opposition spokesman on human rights Isaac Buchanan says any conduct by the state that is not demonstrably justifiable in a free and democratic society amounts to a breach of the Constitution.
We must understand that many of us are still suffering from the Melissa experience. To come and see my brothers and sisters be placed in tent during hurricane season is unacceptable, and I don't want that to be lost. This is not just about property rights. They are human rights, and every Jamaican, the least among us, deserves that.
Carla, Ramdeen, CVM News.
Meanwhile, several Cooper's Pen residents in Falmouth, Trelawny remain in tents after their homes were demolished. The residents are insisting they were not expecting the demolition, and questions are now being raised about the circumstances surrounding their eviction. Javoney Hamilton has that story.
Tuesday's demolition of several homes in Cooper's Pen, Trelawny seemingly came as a surprise, with many residents still dealing with the reality of losing their homes. But Falmouth Mayor Colin Gager is insisting several warnings were issued to the locals. However, Wesley Campbell, a years-long Cooper's Pen resident, disagrees.
It's shocking that your whole life crumbled down, because this is our life. This is where we set ourselves, even though our capture land. You don't get no warning. I mean, 10 years ago, them give the people them a time for come off of the land. Nobody come back and speak with us. Nobody come back after 10 years. Nobody come and give any notice to say, well then, 10 years ago, we come and say, no, for come off of the land. So we're back now. We're ready for the land. So we're going to have to come off of the land as soon as possible. We want it immediately now.
But Mayor Gager says the residents were aware of the situation and had been warned several times.
This is an ongoing problem from 2000, maybe about 2006, if not further back. This piece of land has been long in contention. The developer has taken the people to court, and they did won the case. The people has had appeal the case, and that was thrown out on many occasions. The people have lost all the while. The Trelawny Municipal Corporation and the government have nothing to do with a private developer.
The mayor also says the matter was already before the courts, leaving little room for government intervention at this stage.
While we sympathize with the persons whose houses was destroyed, and we also sympathize with the developer or the owner of the land. But the government, it is just plain persons want to make mischief, and is now saying that the government is responsible, the parish council is responsible. The government isn't, and we must get that understanding straight.
Javoney Hamilton, CVM News.
Meanwhile, People's National Party PNP Constituency Chairman for Trelawny Northern, Dennis Meadows, is still critical of how the demolition was handled.
The kind of state resources I saw deployed yesterday is cause for concern. This is a case where government showing anybody off any land. Let's get that very clear. But I think the government has inserted themselves by obviously cooperating with the potential owner, because it is no secret that the land at issue here has been or in the advanced stages of changing hands with a significant hotel interest. The strategy employed raises serious concern of what part did the state play. They are the demolishers, obviously, but what role did they play in facilitating special interests to demolish the properties?
In other news now, a push to give children found with firearms a second chance sparked debate during Wednesday's Joint Select Committee meeting in Parliament, reviewing the Child Diversion Act. Opposition spokesman on youth, Isaac Buchanan, urged the committee to include simple possession as an offence eligible for diversion. But other members of the committee pushed back against the suggestion. We hear more from Crystal Williams.
Opposition spokesperson on youth and human rights, Isaac Buchanan, appealed to the Joint Select Committee reviewing the Child Diversion Act to have children caught with firearms automatically placed on the Child Diversion Program instead of going in front of a judge. Isaac Buchanan argues that children who are found with firearms may sometimes be acting under pressure or coercion from adults. He says those minors should be given a chance at rehabilitation.
We are well aware that there are adults who are using children, even children below the age of criminal responsibility, to lock firearms. Let's call it that. And to carry. So if we are going to be in the business of being able to pull these children and divert them from this deviant behavior, possession simpliciter has to be a space that we can divert them and put them in programs. If we leave it to the discretion under Section 37 in that contemplation, I'm afraid that there will be children who won't be able to benefit.
However, Justice Minister and Chairman of the Joint Select Committee, Delroy Chuck, warns that automatic diversion could result in child exploitation.
Your position that the child may well be forced to hide, to carry, to be in possession of a firearm would be buttressing the don, so-called don in the area, to say, you can do it. If they find you, you're going to child diversion.
Chairman Chuck also stated that such cases need to remain subject to the court's discretion under Section 37 of the Child Diversion Act. But Buchanan, in pushing back, argued that the circumstances that lead children to possess firearms must be considered, drawing on his own experience of being convicted at age 17.
At 47, Chairman, I am still dealing with the past of convictions that have nothing to do with firearms. But if even a spark of intelligence, a spark of a son and daughter of this country to be the best versions of themselves, all I'm asking is to empower the JCF to drape up a boy, take the gun from him, and let the Don realize that as you can buy enough guns that we can confiscate. The court's primary intention is to get guns off of the street.
Crystal Williams, CVM News.
Residents of Alexandria in St. Anne are set to get a new and modern market as construction of the facility moves ahead steadily. The development is expected to create more space for commerce while bringing essential goods and services closer to the community. Javoney Hamilton reports.
In Alexandria, St. Anne, a new market is taking shape, promising a fresh space for commerce, community, and convenience. Construction began some 4 months ago, following the demolition of the old facility. Mayor of St. Anne's Bay, Councillor Michael Belnavis, says the facility will bring essential goods and services closer to residents.
Now, with this new market, it's going to serve in and around this Alexandria area and the outskirts of Alexandria. So individuals can come within this space and get not only the foodstuff, there will be a foodstuff market here, there will be a abattoir here, selling meats and so on. It's also going to be an extensive parking area, so they won't have any issues with cars and congestion and so on.
The mayor says the space could also serve as a venue for entertainment, while praising the collaboration behind the project.
Those individuals who want to have parties and so on, or round robins and community events, can come within this space and enjoy themselves at night, because the space will be open for rental in addition to that. So we need to thank the Minister of Local Government, Honorable Desmond McKenzie, for having the vision to work along with the councillor here, Councillor David person who has who sat down and brainstormed to say exactly what it is that they wanted to do.
Deputy Mayor Councillor Carla Wickham says the development will also benefit residents of the adjoining Gibraltar Division.
It's a good look, and we in the Gibraltar Division is adjoining to Alexandria, and I'm sure that it means a lot to us. We don't have to go to Brownstone that is overcrowded. It's nearer to us, and we'll make the best use of it. And I know all the adjoining districts in and around Alexandria will capitalize and enjoy shopping here.
With work progressing steadily, the new Alexandria market is expected to open later this year. Javoney Hamilton, CVM News.
CVM News at 7 continues in just a moment.
Should critical illness strike, don't let worry fill your head. Say hello to happiness and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan. Secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness ahead of time while benefiting from more investment portfolio and so much more. Give yourself and your family the peace of mind you deserve with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan today. And live secure. Live easy.
KFC Summer Bucket.
Chicken, 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 Mac deal, super chicken.
This KFC bucket deal has you thinking chicken. Get the Summer Bucket for $4,700.
Thanks so much for staying with us. Still in the local segment, Montego Bay is working to reclaim its position as one of Jamaica's major tourism and entertainment hubs after Hurricane Melissa dealt the city a major blow. And while businesses are reopening and major events are returning, the recovery has not come without setbacks, including losing Reggae Sumfest to St. Anne last month. But according to President of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Pier 1 boss Jason Russell, the recent hosting of Dream Weekend in the city is a clear sign that Montego Bay is getting back on its feet.
It's been a long road to recovery for businesses across western Jamaica, and operators in Montego Bay weren't spared. After months of disruption, many have managed to reopen and get back to business. But the St. James capital took another hit when Reggae Sumfest, one of the city's biggest annual events, was moved to St. Anne this year. For a city that depends heavily on tourism, entertainment, and the spending that comes with both, President of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Pier 1 boss Jason Russell says the loss was significant.
Coming out of Melissa, of course, there were pitfalls. There were certain items we couldn't get. I remember lettuce was short for a long time. We had, just ground provisions were a little bit shaky. But all in all, I think we recovered well. I think the demand and the supply kind of met in the middle. Hotels were closed. Jamaicans on a whole have dialed it back a little bit. So the little supplies that we were getting ended up being enough.
It's why the recent staging of Dream Weekend in the city, he says, is a sign the western capital is starting to find its footing again.
After Melissa, we were uncertain what a festival would look like in the city. Of course, we know hotel rooms are down. A lot of homes, which end up being Airbnbs, have been damaged. The transport sector reeling from lack of use. Would the city bounce back? Would the city be up for the challenge? And what it really showed for Dream was, yes, the city is ready. The city is ready to go. We're open for business. I walked the streets. Every bar was full. Every house, Airbnb was full. Every hotel room was full. Buses up and down. The airport was full. We jumped into action. And it's really, really pleasing from the chamber to see businesses doing business and the city really accommodating Dream Weekend.
Mr. Russell went further.
Well, overall, of course, we know we're starting from a negative. After Melissa, we weren't 100%. Losing Sumfest also had us behind the ball. But what Dream represents is us getting back to normal. I don't want to say we are positive yet, but we are definitely on the road to recovery. And Dream Weekend, the proof of concept of having this festival in Mobe, was glorious. We really stepped up.
58 murders were recorded for St. James in 2025. With a boost in entertainment hitting the second city over the past few weeks, the St. James Police Division has chosen to match heightened energy with increased protection. More in this report from Crystal Williams.
Emancipendence celebrations wrapped with Montego Bay hosting Dream Weekend for the first time. Despite the massive crowds pouring into St. James, a parish long shadowed by crime, police are striking a note of success. The St. James Division is crediting firm security controls for keeping the festivities safe, even as thousands converged on the resort town. Senior Superintendent Aaron Samuels, the commanding officer, says the outcome reflects disciplined planning and execution.
The traffic management went smoothly. We had no incidents itself at the events. The timings for the events, they went well in terms of end time and patrons leaving the event and coming to the event. So overall, I think it was a success.
Sustained and heightened policing activities from the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, PSTEB, and the Area 1 Command led to minimal incidents being reported during the festivities. Another win SSP Samuels is welcoming.
We had very minimal incidents. We had one incident of murder and a shooting incident that occurred in that time period. We've had 2 shooting incidents, still injury shootings. However, over that period, we seized 4 weapons, including M16 rifle and 3 handguns. Also, in the division, over 400 assorted rounds of ammunition have been seized, and this seizure took place over the weekend.
The commanding officer revealed that on 2 separate occasions, the Special Investigations Branch seized roughly 200 rounds of ammunition. Meanwhile, police say crime-fighting efforts are intensifying with more boots on the ground across the division. With 58 murders recorded so far in 2025, the St. James Police Division is aiming to keep the figure at or below previous levels.
If you look back in as far back as 2017, when we had a murder rate of over 333 murders, we want to change the trajectory fully of St. James to being a relatively low crime parish compared to in the latter past. So I want persons to understand that we are pushing hard to ensure that we change the future of St. James. And we want Montego Bay to continue to remain the safest city in the English-speaking Caribbean.
Crystal Williams reporting for CVM News.
For many women and girls in Jamaica, having a period comes with a financial burden that can be difficult to manage. With the rising cost of menstrual products, period poverty continues to affect access, education, and everyday life. As the conversation around menstrual health grows, questions remain about whether enough is being done to ensure every woman and girl can manage her period with dignity. More in this report from Jaden Henry.
Founder of the Her Flu Foundation, Shelley-Ann Weeks, says rising costs are making menstrual pads harder to afford, especially for low-income families already struggling with basic necessities. A basic pack of sanitary napkins costs around $700 Jamaican dollars. For someone with a heavier flu who needs multiple packs each month, the cost can quickly reach between $1,400 to $2,100 or more monthly.
We're talking about this war in Iran that is going on, and they complain that the gas prices are going up. But newsflash, we import our menstrual products. So whatever impacts gas also impacts menstrual products. So yes, the cost of menstrual products are going up. And low-income families feel it the most because they don't have as much income to flex whenever the prices of necessities go up. And yes, menstrual products are also necessities.
While highlighting that menstruation is a natural and essential part of reproductive health, the anti-period poverty advocate says the products needed to manage it are often not treated as necessities. With growing concerns about fertility and declining birth rates, she says there is a need to recognize menstrual health as an essential part of women's health.
Period is something that we need. Lots of conversation around the decline in birth rate, not recognizing the connection that having a monthly period has to do with fertility. If every human being stopped having a period right now, say goodbye to the human race. Periods should be treated as a necessity because that's what it is. So whatever is needed to manage our period should be treated as such. They are bare essentials. We saw in the aftermath of Melissa when lots of people were getting food. People were trading food for menstrual products. I got so many calls from places that say, listen, nobody bring no more canned food. Bring pad. That is how important menstrual products are. We're partnering with the government and the UNICEF, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, UNICEF, and Herflow Foundation will be conducting a pilot program in schools that will help us write the policy that will do something about this from a policy level. And I'm so happy about that because it is necessary. Periods should never be an obstacle to any Jamaican girl getting her education. And until we do something about period poverty, that will be the case.
Jaden Henry, CVM News.
More than 100 students in Central Westmoreland have been rewarded for academic excellence. And as you'll hear in this report, the students were honored at the annual Dwayne Vaz Education Awards in Savannah-Lamar.
100 students from across Central Westmoreland were rewarded Tuesday for their academic achievements. The students from infant to tertiary level received cash certificates and plaques. But the message from MP Dwayne Vaz was clear. Success requires focus and discipline.
In today's society where we have social media, we have friends, we have entertainment, we have many distractions. We have people trying to imagine their lives like people they are seeing on social media, and you're not to do that. Because many people you see on social media, they put on a show for you. But at the end of the day, sometimes their life worse than me and you. They're showing off sometimes. So I'm saying, don't try to be like anybody. Prioritize your life on what you want, based on what you know you want to achieve. What you want to achieve will determine the things you need to do to get there, and those things are the things you have to prioritize in life.
He also encouraged the students to recognize the value of helping others.
If you have one student doing well in the school, it will not do well for the school. Nobody will want to go to a school where only one child is doing well. So it means if you are doing well, try to help those to bring them up to your level, so everybody can be doing well. Because the more successful people we have, the better communities we have, the better Jamaica we will have.
The MP further adds collaboration can take them even further.
What they can achieve as an individual will achieve more collectively. And all of you, whether in school or in the workplace, you'll have to work in different groups. And those of you who have worked in groups before, you'll understand that when one person in the group is not pulling them weight, they put more pressure on the others, which means more work for you, which means it is harder for the group to do well. So if everybody is doing what they're supposed to do, it is easier to be successful. And those organizations that are being successful out here today are those that have a very good group of persons working.
The event was also attended by Savannah-Lamar Mayor Dan Reed-Delancey and Heart Trust NTA Manager Emilia Costley. Natasha Williams, CVM News.
CVM News at 7 continues after this break.
Cheaper toll rates on TransJam highways with a T-Tag until October 31st. Ready to get your T-Tag today? Good news! T-Tag packages are discounted by 50%, down to $1,250 until September 30th. The package includes $500 toll credit that you can use right away. Get your T-Tag today from any manually operated toll booth on TransJam highways or Rubis gas station on the Portmore Toll Road.
School expenses adding up? Get ready for school with Chris and Charles. From July 9 to August 31, enjoy a low interest rate on loans of $1.5 and $2 million. Plus, get 25% off the processing fee on loans of $1 million Jamaican dollars and above. You could also qualify for one of 50 Ready for School grants worth 60,000 Jamaican dollars each. Visit your nearest Chris and Charles branch or www.chrisandcharles.com for details. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles. Conditions apply.
Turn up to 25, turn up to 25. Could I drive out fresh in a MG ride when I stay
relocation, all inclusive flex. Yeah, heart to Jamily cash. Yes, smart TV, PS5, and home upgrade.
Turn up your winnings this summer with Digicel. Sign up or switch to postpaid or Digicel Plus. Buy a SIM. Top up with 5 bills or more. Buy a 7-day plan or higher. A smartphone deal or just pay your bill. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Promotion period June 24 to September 5, 2026. Visit DigicelJamaica.com for terms and conditions.
KFC Summer Bucket. This KFC bucket deal has you thinking chicken. Get the summer bucket for $4,700.
The time by KFC is 7:30.
Welcome back. The latest episode of the Jamaica Constabulary Force's Force for Good podcast looks at how policing goes beyond enforcement. It explores how teamwork, community partnerships and prevention are helping to tackle crime and violence. Javoney Hamilton zooms in on the Police Area 4 and their efforts.
Policing beyond the badge, where enforcement meets partnership and prevention begins with community. In Kingston Eastern, Area 4 Commander ACP Michael Phipps says teamwork is key, with strengths and weaknesses identified and resources matched to the needs of each community.
We know that it's a very tough task to be divisional commanders. But when you give whatsoever help and assistance you can in terms of the leadership that you offer, and they accept it, you realize that they are able to grow because we're speaking with one voice and we have one aim, and they all understand what is it we are trying to achieve. And each person is a very good team player, and it makes the job much, much easier. So that is what we use across Area 4.
For Superintendent Michelle Campbell, experience matters, but policing must evolve. A balance of hard policing and traditional community-based strategies, she says, is necessary.
When you look at a vineyard town, which is the upscale, in just a stone throw away, you're into Backbush, Mountain View, Jakes Road, Jarrett Lane. So, policing, it has to be a dynamic. You try to maintain the professionalism that is expected for each and every one, but in some aspect, you have to do some kind of hard policing when you go into some areas. Some areas, not that you're relaxed, but you taper it down somewhat.
And that means understanding the people behind the statistics and the need behind the crime.
What we seek to do is to identify the workforce, and we look and determine what are the different training needs, what areas we need some additional help, and so on. And we make recommendations in respect to those training needs that we may have arrived at. And we do it in conjunction with the entire division. So it's not just a decision at the area level, but we do it in conjunction with the management team of the local division.
From community engagement to church partnerships and domestic violence interventions, the JCF says its presence extends beyond responding to crime.
Every station plans their church service, and so every week we have gone 4 church service so far. So we are in the church and we are participating in the church service. There we give them tips how to deal with domestic issues, how to deal with their conflicts. We are out with the walkthroughs, we are out in the community meetings. So we are everywhere. The partnership is good at Kingston Eastern Division.
Javoney Hamilton, CVM News.
Jamaica's worsening drought is putting increasing pressure on the country's water supply, with restrictions on non-essential use set to begin next Monday. But with no clear end in sight, questions remain about how long the measures will be necessary and when the island can expect meaningful rainfall. More in this report. Take effect on August 17, affecting residents in Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Thomas, St. Mary, Portland, St. Anne and St. Catherine. Speaking on CVM's Lead Story Prime Tuesday, National Water Commission NWC Corporate Public Relations Manager Delano Williams says the measures are necessary to preserve the country's water supply.
Sometimes, as you said, two sides of the story, in that next to 2 months you would be saying to me, if I allow you to want and use it, that you, Delano, and your team saw that we were running low and you said nothing about it. And so the installation or implementation of the regulations in July, the Mona network adding to that in August, and now the prohibition notice is really our way of saying conservation is key. The restrictions are for the greater good of helping everybody that's on our network, both in Kingston and in all of these parishes.
Williams says there is no definite timeline for when the prohibition order will end, as that will depend on improvements in weather conditions.
The prohibition for us will last until things improve. We can't say yet because, as Evan just pointed out, we are still seeing a prediction that says the next few months, or at least the next month or two, will be pretty dry. Now, we are guided by rainfall, or we're influenced by rainfall. That rainfall is what replenishes the river sources and the spring sources that our systems rely on to distribute water.
The Meteorological Service of Jamaica, meanwhile, is cautioning that the island could also experience extreme temperature levels similar to those recorded in the past. Principal Director Evan Thompson says staying cool and hydrated will be crucial as temperatures rise.
The temperature is likely to be a little above the norm. So we should expect temperatures to continue to rise at least for another few weeks. May start to decline after that, but should still remain on the upper side of what is normal. So we are expecting more of those high temperatures. And, you know, with the kind of drivers that we're seeing in the climate, it seems that we could even approach some of the extremes that we've experienced in the past. The important thing is to do whatever you can to keep cool. If you can stay indoors, stay out of the direct sunlight. That is one of the things that will help. Shaded areas, I want to say keep hydrated, but if we're going to be restricting their use of water, it's going to be difficult to keep hydrated. But we have to keep our bodies hydrated. We do have to imbibe some amount of water.
As the drought continues, the NWC reminds preserving the available water supply remains critical. We now turn to regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. Members of the Barbados Defense Forces Emergency Medical Team have been deployed to Venezuela to continue the country's assistance to those affected by the recent earthquakes. More from CBC Barbados.
Every day there were a number of persons just waiting as the gates opened to receive medical assistance. I'm so glad that I was able to be a part of that experience. Well, we offered services ranging from emergency care, we did antenatal, we had pediatrics, we did x-rays, mammograms, we even had a few surgeries last Friday.
On the international scene, the Ebola outbreak in eastern DR Congo is now the world's second largest on record, killing about 50 people every day and spreading faster than any previous epidemic. Medical workers are reportedly overwhelmed, with treatment centers attacked and a second facility under construction to cope. Al Jazeera has the details.
Another death, another grieving family, this time a pastor who died at a treatment center just 2 days after arriving. The outbreak in eastern DRC was declared 3 months ago. On average, about 50 people are dying every day.
The second biggest Ebola epidemic on record, and it's moving faster than any previous Ebola outbreak. We're mapping and pooling resources to strengthen community-based surveillance, to bring every suspected case into care and reach the 95% contact tracing target needed to interrupt transmission.
And finally, 2 people have been seriously injured and another 9 were hurt after a train carrying around 150 passengers derailed near Lewis. Sky News gives us an inside look.
You can see quite clearly the footage, the extent of what has happened
there, and British Transport Police have talked about their officers being on the scene, responding with paramedics and the fire service. And what we haven't really had yet is any detail on the seriousness of the derailment in terms of casualties from the ambulance service or from the police service.
And that's it for regional and international news. I'm Carla Ramdeen.
We return with sports following this break.